Hey guys, Jeff here with a beginner's guide to 6mm episode 3. This is the final part of this small series and it's been really fun doing it. And I'm going to show you how to base miniatures in this one. There's been some really interesting information in the comments section of my other 2 episodes, so if you are new to 6mm, I do recommend having a quick browse through the comments of those videos and this one, because you might get some more information. So the first step, which I've skipped, is gluing your miniatures to the base. So I just use PVA for this. It's not the best option, but it sticks them down good enough. I've got miniatures that are only based with PVA, so it does work to hold your miniatures completely on, but that was some of my earlier ones. And what you can do as an optional step is, you'll notice I've gone in and done some green on the base, on like the little raised bits, the strip is the word I'm looking for. And the reason I did that, even though they're brown normally, is I've gone in, I just get a little bit of paint on my brush and go across the front and the back of each miniature on the bases. And it's just to add a bit of green in there, because when you do the rest of the base, you'll flock the outside and stuff and they'll be green. And if you don't do that, I've got miniatures that I haven't done that on and it's just all brown in there and it looks kind of a bit odd. You can flock the bases themselves, but I don't bother. I just put a bit of green paint in there and it looks good enough. I think it looks quite nice. But yeah, so first step, like I said, I skipped. You just glue them to the base. I use PVA. You can use anything you want that works pretty much, and that's really just to have them held in place for the next step. So this next step, you're going to use a putty like this. I use the Tamiya putty. I wouldn't recommend using this. I use it because it's what I have. I bought it when I first got into 6mm and it's done my whole army so far. And it is really good, like it's a really good product, but in terms of like price, you're better off getting something like a wall filler. You can get them from like the hardware stores. Here in Australia you can get a tub that is about 5 times the size of what's in this tube for about $5. And this tube has done my whole army so far and will probably finish my army off. But this was about $7 or $8, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was about $7 or $8 from a hobby store when I got it. So you can save a bit of money and get a lot more miniatures by using like a filler, and it's going to give you the same effect. Essentially what you use this for is use this stuff to go around the edges of the base. So you'll see there's like a raised section. Oops, sorry. And you use this just to sort of blend that to the base a bit more, so your miniatures don't look like they're sitting up off the base so much. So to do that, you'll need a toothpick or a little spatula or pretty much anything. I just use a toothpick because that's what I got. And just something to put on. I've got a square of paper towel here. So what you do is it's really straightforward. I just put a little blob out here. Put the lid back on. And you just get this on your toothpick. And if you're using this Tamiya stuff, you'll instantly get hit by the smell of it. It smells like chemicals. You go in and just, it's a bit hard because I'm sitting up a bit away from it for the camera, but you just put a little bit on. And don't worry about like covering up paint or anything like that, because you're going to paint this a bit later anyway. This stuff's a little bit annoying to work with. I think filler is probably definitely the way to go, but you get the gist of what I'm doing here, I hope. So I'll just demonstrate this bit. So once you've got a bit on, it'll still have that kind of, wrong way, it'll still have like the raised edge look, but what you can do is you just get your toothpick, you take it from the top and you drag it on an angle down, and that sort of flattens it out a bit, and then you'll see some little holes you can go in and fill. As you can see, the bit that I haven't done it on is really harsh, where the other bit's more of a like smooth flowing, but it's just a bit more well blended, I guess. And you do that around the whole miniature. I won't bother showing the whole thing, I'll just do it. And then once you've done that, this takes like, I can't remember how long to dry. It takes a little while though. I normally just leave it overnight, and depending on the filler or the whatever you end up using, you'll just have to go to whatever its dry times are. But once this is dry, we'll be ready for the next step. So I'll finish this off and then I'll come back and film the next section. So now that the putty's dried, you just go in and paint the whole thing brown, just so it's all one colour, and just make sure you don't leave any of the little grey bits there. So I'll just quickly do that. Now that it's all painted brown, just give it 5 or 10 minutes to dry a bit so it's not super wet, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now it's dried a bit. It's not fully dry, but it doesn't really matter because we're just putting PVA glue on. So if it's not fully dry, the paint might just mix in with the glue a bit, but that's not really a problem at all. So it's pretty straightforward. You just put a bit of PVA on all the edges of your base where we just painted. Then we flock it. I just use Army Painted grass green flock for mine. And I sort of twist the base around in there a bit so it's all covered, and then pick it up and tap it all off. And there you have it, all based up. And if you get your brush, and as you're going around the glue, and where there's a sort of a gap big enough for your brush to fit in, you just push a little bit of glue up in between the soldiers, then you'll see it better at the back here. It comes up over the base a lot more, and it really just helps cover that a bit. And the green paint on the inside, you'll see it helps make it look like there's more grass throughout without having to flock the bases before you glue them down. And there's one last step, which is an optional step. It's something I like to do, and that is get a little bit of static grass. Not much on these spaces because they're pretty small areas, and also because the miniatures are small. But more so on the like more widespread bases. But all you do is I like to use either a lighter or a darker. You can sort of choose whichever you prefer. Than the grass green. I use a lighter personally, and that's just so it's not all the same colour, and it just adds a little bit of variation. But yeah, for this I just pick a couple of spots along the base, on the front, maybe over here where it's a bit thinner, apply a little bit more glue, and maybe somewhere on the back. As you can see, that just gives a bit of sort of colour variation, as well as a little bit of length variation, and just makes the base a little bit more interesting. And that's it. That's how you base your 6mm miniatures up. If you're using a looser formation, then the same technique applies. For my skirmishing bases, instead of putting the gluing them on and then placing the putty all around, I actually just did little blobs of putty where I wanted the miniatures to go, and place, because I clipped them in to be individuals, and I just placed them in it like that, because the PVA glue mostly acts in this like this. It doesn't really act to hold miniatures on that well. It's mostly there just to hold them in place while you put the putty on, and the putty will really hold them, be like the strong point of the hold. Yeah. That's it for this one, guys. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye for now.